This is the tutorial level. This is where you're learning the controls. You're figuring out how to budget, how to automate, how to not check your account every time the market hiccups. It's slow. It's supposed to be slow. You're not broken. The system is working exactly as designed. Your only job here is to survive long enough to let compounding take over. Once you've crossed 6 figures, the game changes from, can you save? To, can you wait? You've already proven you can add money consistently. You've already survived a downturn or two. Now you just have to let the math do what math does. This is the boring part. This is the part where nothing dramatic happens for years, and then suddenly everything happens at once. The best investors are the ones who forget they're investing. They automate. They ignore the noise. They check their account maybe twice a year, shrug, and go back to living. Because once you hit $100,000, the worst thing you can do is start thinking you're smart enough to trade your way to $1 million faster. You're not. Nobody is. The market will humble you. The only winning move is to stay boring. Same city. Same investments. 2 completely different experiences of wealth building. My name is your name, and this is Money Sketcher, where we draw out the money truths nobody sketches for you. And today we're answering a question that sounds backwards until you see the math. Why is the jump from $0 to $100,000 more important than the jump from $100,000 to $1 million? And why does hitting that first 100 grand flip a switch that changes everything about how your money grows? This isn't motivational. This is mechanical. So let's sketch it out. Here's the story you've probably heard your whole life. The one that sounds so obvious you never questioned it. The hardest part of getting rich is making your first million. It sounds wise. It sounds like something a leather armchair billionaire would say while swirling whiskey. And it is completely, demonstrably wrong. Let me actually explain why. Think of wealth building like rolling a boulder up a hill. Your instinct, a completely reasonable instinct, is to assume the boulder gets heavier as you go. That rolling it from $500,000 to $1 million must be harder than rolling it from $0 to $100,000 because the numbers are bigger. But that's not how the physics of compounding actually work. The boulder doesn't get heavier. The hill gets less steep. And right around $100,000, something genuinely magical happens. The hill starts rolling the boulder for you. You've heard the phrase compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. You've probably heard it so many times it's become basically meaningless, just financial background noise. So let me actually explain what compounding is doing at different account sizes, because this is the thing almost nobody visualizes. Compounding doesn't care about how much money you add. It cares about how much money is already there, sitting in the account, making babies. At $10,000, a 10% return gives you $1,000. Nice. That's a decent weekend trip. At $100,000, that same 10% gives you $10,000. That's what you just spent a whole year scraping together as a beginner. At $500,000, it's $50,000. That is an entire year's salary for tens of millions of people, and you earned it by doing absolutely nothing except not panicking. Same percentage. Same you. But the leverage of compounding scales with the base. And here's the kicker. The jump from $10,000 to $100,000 and the jump from $100,000 to $1 million require almost the exact same thing. They require time and consistency. But one of them feels 10 times harder. And one of them happens almost on autopilot. Guess which is which? Let me show you the actual numbers because this is where the sketch gets wild. Let's say you're investing $500 a month. Totally normal. Not rich. Not broke. Just steady. You're getting, let's say, a 10% average annual return, which is roughly what the S&P 500 has done long-term. Not a guarantee. Not a promise. Just the historical average. Here's how long it takes you to hit each milestone. $10,000. About 16 months, $50,000. About 5.5 years, $100,000. About 9.5 years okay. So far, brutal. Almost a decade to hit 6 figures while you're adding $500 every single month like clockwork. Now watch what happens next. $200,000. About 6 more years, 15.5 years total, $300,000. About 4 more years, 19.5 years total, $500,000. About 5.5 more years, 25 years total, $1 million. About 6.5 more years, 31.5 years total. Let that sit for a second. It takes you about 9.5 years to go from $0 to $100,000. It takes you about 6.5 years to go from $500,000 to $1 million. You are doubling your money, going from $500,000 to a full million, and it happens faster than the grind from $0 to $100,000, even though the dollar distance is 5 times longer. Why? Because by the time you hit $100,000, compounding stops being a side character in your story. It becomes the main character. Picture a snowball at the top of a hill. When it's tiny, you're doing all the work. You're rolling it. You're packing snow onto it with your bare hands. You're the engine. The snowball is just along for the ride. But once that snowball gets big enough, gravity takes over. It starts rolling itself. And every rotation picks up more snow automatically. You're still adding snow, sure, but now the snowball is doing most of the work. $100,000 is roughly the size where gravity kicks in. Let me get specific because vague inspiration is useless. At $100,000, earning 10% a year, your money makes $10,000 without you touching it. If you're adding $500 per month, that's $6,000 a year from you. But your account is generating $10,000 from returns. For the first time in your investing life, your money is contributing more than you are. Read that again. Your money is now outworking you. That is the inflection point. That is the moment the game changes. And it's not a feel-good metaphor. It's literally what the math does. There's another pattern hiding in the numbers that's going to mess with your head. From $100,000 to $200,000 takes about 6 years at the same contribution rate. From $200,000 to $400,000? About 5.5 years. From $400,000 to $800,000? About 5 years. Notice the pattern? You're doubling your wealth in roughly the same amount of time over and over, but the dollar jumps are getting massive. First double, $100,000, $200,000 equals $100,000 gain. Second double, $200,000, $400,000 equals $200,000 gain. Third double, $400,000, $800,000 equals $400,000 gain. Same time frame. Exponentially bigger results. This is why old money whispers and new money shouts. Once you've hit $100,000, you've figured out the most important part, which is how to not touch it. Everything after that is just time and patience, and time happens whether you're paying attention or not. So why does this happen? Why is $100,000 the magic number and not, say, $50,000 or $200,000? It's not actually magic. It's 3 engines turning on at roughly the same time. Engine 1, the compounding takeover. We already covered this, but it's worth hammering home. Below $100,000, you are the engine. Your contributions are 70%, 80%, sometimes 90% of your growth. Above $100,000, compounding becomes 50% or more of your growth, and that percentage keeps climbing. You go from being the worker to being the manager. Your money is now your employee, and it's a really good employee that never calls in sick. Engine 2. The volatility smoothing. Here's one nobody talks about. When you have $5,000 in the market and it drops 20%, you lose $1,000. That feels catastrophic because you probably just spent 3 months saving that. When you have $100,000 and it drops 20%, you lose $20,000. That sounds worse, right? Except here's what actually happens. That 20% drop is usually followed by a recovery. And when the market bounces back 25%, your $100,000 account gains $25,000 in the rebound. You just made more in the recovery than someone with $5,000 has in their entire account. Volatility stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like opportunity because the swings, while dramatic, are moving serious money in your favor over time. You're not numb to the losses. You're just finally big enough that the wins actually matter. Engine 3. The behavior lock-in. By the time you hit $100,000, you've proven something to yourself that no motivational video ever could. You've proven you can do this. You've survived at least 1 bear market, maybe 2. You've watched your account drop and not sold. You've kept adding money when it felt stupid. You've done the boring thing for years. And that self-proof is weirdly the most powerful engine of all. Because the person who panics and sells at $8,000 would have panicked at $80,000 too. But the person who white-knuckled their way to $100,000, that person has scar tissue. That person has seen the line go down and come back. So they don't bail at $150,000, or $300,000, or $700,000. The money gets easier to grow because you got harder to shake. Now, everything I just said probably makes it sound like $100,000 is some kind of financial finish line, like you just coast from there. I'm not saying that, and let me genuinely steelman the other side. The truth is, $100,000 is powerful if and only if you keep doing exactly what got you there. The math I showed you assumes you don't stop contributing. It assumes you don't panic sell in the next downturn. It assumes you give it time. If you hit $100,000, celebrate for 24 hours, then pull it all out to buy a boat, the compounding engine shuts off immediately. You're back at zero, and the clock resets. The magic of $100,000 isn't the number itself. It's that crossing that threshold means you've built the habits that will carry you the rest of the way. So the bull case is real, but it's conditional. It requires you to stay boring. Now the bear case, and it's every bit as real. First, sequence of returns risk. If you hit $100,000 right before a massive bear market, and you're still adding money but the market drops 40%, you're going to watch that account dip below $100,000. Maybe well below. That's not a failure. That's variance. But it will feel like you've lost the magic, and a lot of people bail right there. Second, lifestyle inflation. The same person disciplined enough to save their way to $100,000 is often the same person who's been delaying gratification for years. And right around 6 figures, the temptation to live a little gets loud. New car, bigger apartment, a vacation that costs more than your first 3 cars combined. And look, I'm not your dad. Live your life. But understand that every dollar you pull out is a dollar that won't be there rolling the snowball. Third, the illusion of wealth. $100,000 sounds rich. It's a 6-figure net worth. It's a milestone. But it's not quit your job money. It's not even ignore your budget money. It's you're officially in the game money. And mistaking it for the finish line is how people stall outright when compounding was about to take over. So let me pull this all the way back and give you the thing you actually came here for. What this means for a normal human trying to build wealth. Here's the framework. 3 parts. Write this down. Here's the action list. Not inspirational. Tactical. If you're below $100,000, automate everything. If it requires willpower, it will fail. Increase your contribution by 1% every time you get a raise. You won't feel it. Do not check your account more than once a quarter. You're not day trading. You're wealth building. If you're past $100,000, do not change a single thing. Seriously, the same boring plan that got you here will get you to $500,000. Resist lifestyle inflation like it's a disease, because it is. If you feel the urge to get creative with your investments, go for a walk instead. If you're at $500,000 plus, congrats. You've won the game. Now don't lose it by getting clever. Consider talking to a fee-only fiduciary about tax optimization. That's the only hack that's real at this level. Maya is still in that same apartment, still adding her $500 a month, still not telling anyone, but her account just crossed $140,000, and she's starting to see what I've been sketching out for you. The number climbs now even in the months she forgets to check it. Even in the months the market does nothing. The snowball is rolling itself. James, 2 buildings over, finally hit his million. Took longer than he thought, but he got there. And here's the thing nobody tells you. The jump from $1 million to $2 million is going to take him less time than Maya's jump from $0 to $100,000 took her. Not because he's smarter. Not because he found some secret. Because compounding doesn't care about your starting line. It only cares about your finish line and whether you stuck around long enough to see it. So here's the question I'll leave you sitting with, and it's genuinely the one worth sketching out for yourself. If $100,000 is the point where your money starts outworking you, then what would it actually take to get there? Not in some mythical future where you make twice as much. What would it take now with the income you have, the budget you have, the life you have? Because the honest answer to that question is probably simpler and more boring than you think. And that's exactly why it works. If you want more sketches like this, the math nobody draws out, the frameworks that actually move the needle, hit that subscribe button. New breakdown every single week. This is Money Sketcher, and I'll see you in the next one.